So, I have sound, that's very good. Where we are in time? Still have half an hour or do I need to short a bit? Yeah? Then I can start my watch. So, as our life will gravitate around, more and more around data, yeah? Our private life, our business life, and I'm representing here the Gaia X Association, headquartered in Brussels, created 3.5 years ago by 11 French and 11 German organizations initially, now more than 320 from all over the world, following the vision to enable trusted, decentralized digital ecosystems. So digitization, trust, you talked about trust, which is very important to enable that, and decentralized, not only to rely on one organization, but have it as a joint endeavor. And why are we doing this? Some 40 years ago, we started to connect organizations, to digitally connect organizations by one-to-one interfaces. Some of you still might know EDI, electronic data interchange. Quite an effort to create such a one-to-one interface. And then we've been working for the last 20 years on the creation of digital platforms, connecting few to few, even if the few to few are thousands, yeah, but connecting sources of data to digital platforms and allowing users of data to connect to such platforms and use this data. It was quite an effort to do this connectivity, and the GDPR allowed us also to step-by-step integrate personal data into this, connecting few to few, even if thousands. And now we are on the way to create what we call data spaces, connecting millions to millions with ideally little effort, with the approach to connect a source of data, be it a person, be it a watch, be it a device, be it an IT system, without additional effort. Means to automatically identify this source of data and to automatically authorize this source of data, to provide data to a data space or a user to use data. And it has been mentioned several times, the Data Governance Act of the European Commission, the Data Act, are providing the framework, providing us a value system, how to do all of this. But to do this automation here, we need standardization. Yeah? We need to agree on certain interfaces. We need to agree on data models, because otherwise is it not possible to automatically connect to such data spaces. And once we made it and we collected data on a data space or via a data space, we are with this also providing data for higher level services, for the usage of AI. AI needs data. Yeah, and also here, another act of the European Union is providing us the frame, and that's the AI Act. So this is what we are working on, we as Gaia X, but not alone. We are doing this together with partners. Fiverr is one of these partners, and I will come to this partner network a bit later. So our missions, how do we achieve this vision, is by creating de facto standards aligned with European values, by developing a set of policies, rules, specifications, and a verification framework, yeah, to certify the different solutions in this way. And I put it in the headline, data does not flow on rainbows. So we need the underlying infrastructure, and that is part of the X of Gaia X. We have the data spaces, the data ecosystems, in the upper part of the X. We have services, data exchange, federation, compliance services in the center. And we have the infrastructure ecosystems, the federated infrastructure at the bottom of this X. And this is what is about Gaia X, to bring the before disjoint ecosystems together, to bring data and infrastructure together. And to enable this, we have created a strategy, and I will only stay here on the headlines of this strategy. All starts with the end users, with the requirements, the data requirements of the end users. End users coming from manufacturing industry, coming from the healthcare domain, from energy, from mobility, from tourism, from different domains. And creating such solutions is only possible when we have market-ready technology. So there's a lot of activities in creating these things. And as I said, we are not doing this alone. We are working together with an alliance I will introduce a bit later, the Data Spaces Business Alliance, and also other free and open source software communities. And maybe to address, coming back to the first point, I said before, it is the fact that data are not flowing on rainbows. So we need the underlying IT infrastructure which is more and more not limited to one organization protected by a firewall, but we are working more and more using so-called cloud services provided by cloud service providers coming from Europe, but also cloud service providers coming from outside of Europe. And some of them are called hyperscalers. And at the beginning, it was by some people the idea, the dream, Gaia X will become the new European hyperscaler. And that is definitely not what we are, but we are bringing the different players together to create federated cloud infrastructures and data ecosystems based on European values. And we are more and more also including these hyperscalers. So we are working together with Amazon, with Google, with Microsoft, with Alibaba, with Huawei, so different non-European players. And this is important for the next part of the strategy, which is the globalization strategy. At least in some of the application domains, it is important that the applications are accepted and adopted on a global scale. Looking, for example, at the manufacturing industry, let's take the automotive industry, where are global supply chains. And this business processes, these global supply chains, need to be supported by digital solutions which are available also outside of the European borders. And therefore, it is important to to be globally accepted and adopted. And also here, I will come also to that a bit more in detail, the Gaia X hubs play an important role. Yeah, and finally, this will support us in further growing the Gaia X ecosystem and its members. And all of this is driven by a growth and service-oriented team providing thought leadership to the market. So that's the Gaia X strategy in a nutshell, just on one page. And very important, and I mentioned that before, is the interoperability. And we are using here a model, a European model called the interoperability model with 4 different layers. Technical interoperability, semantic interoperability. So here, let's say which kind of interfaces, APIs we are using. Here, which data models we are using, organizational interoperability, how are we doing it, and the legal interoperability. We are focusing on the 3 lower levels with first our compliance documents. Oh, also here I'm catch with some formatting things, but that's okay. So our Gaia X compliance document, which is created by a member-driven organization called the Policy Rules Committee within Gaia X, is addressing the organizational and semantic interoperability, but it is technology agnostic. So it can be implemented using different technologies. And for the technical interoperability, we have the Gaia X architecture document. Here, another user-driven organization or part of Gaia X is responsible, the technical committee. And these documents are rule agnostic. So we have two different documents which are implemented within an instrument which is called the Gaia X Digital Clearinghouse. And this clearinghouse is enabling trust and is enabling interoperability between different players and different data spaces. It is fully open source software, so available for everyone for free forever. Microservice architecture and libraries integration, worldwide adoption ready, as I explained before, and public, open and freely available to all. These clearinghouses, we have so far 4 which are up and running. One is operated by Gaia X as a testbed, to allow startups for a quick start into this ecosystem, to allow for testbeds. And but as soon as they become operational, they need to use one of the commercial operated clearinghouses, one from Aruba in Italy, one from T-Systems in Germany, one from Air Networks in Spain. These are the first 3. 2 more have signed in May. Exion is a daughter of EDF in France, so the energy company in France, and OVH Cloud is Europe's largest cloud service provider. They are now setting it up. Entity Data is in the onboarding phase to set up the first Gaia X Digital Clearinghouse in Japan, coming back to this globalization strategy. And there are several more in the pipeline. All are interoperable and are working together, providing basic services for free. So it's a kind of freemium model, basic services for free, advanced services against payment. And we talked about trust, and this policy rules document is describing 62 criteria which are used to provide this trust in different levels. We have a basic conformity, and then we have, depending on the different use cases, higher levels of conformity with these rules and with the trust enablers. And the highest level is can only be fulfilled by providers coming out of Europe, which are clearly under European legislation and European law. So the highest level can not be fulfilled by Microsoft, Google, Alibaba, because they are also under other law. Like the American headquarters companies are under the Cloud Act and the Patriots Act in the US. So if the American government requests data, they have to provide the data to the government. And for some of the use cases we have in Europe, especially in the healthcare domain, in the domain when nuclear power stations are operated, this is not allowed and not possible. There's a big debate on how strict this should be done. Some of you who are active in this might know this European cybersecurity scheme. Maybe you are aware of that, which is actually in preparation, where there is a big dispute whether sovereignty and immunity topics should be incorporated or not. There are large lobby organizations fighting against it. We are a member-driven organization, and our members are requesting this level of trust and security, this level 3. But I also have to admit, the market will show afterwards how much and which portion of the market will really require this high level of security and will have the sufficient business models behind to pay the required uplift for it. Because this service will be more expensive than a standard cloud service. I'm convinced this will not be more than 2 to 3% of the market, still relevant. And the question is, will such a service be 10 or 20% more expensive, or will it cost 5 times more? I don't know yet. We will see in the future. But we are prepared for this, and we are on a way that all these criteria are being verified automatically. Here we are using a concept coming from the W3C called verifiable credentials. I think, Gernot, you also talked a bit about it before. To have this, wherever possible, machine readable. Yeah, that it can be automatically checked whether these requirements are fulfilled or not. That we don't need an external certification authority body. So someone like PricewaterhouseCoopers or so, when you do a ISO 20001 certification, that we don't need such manual certification processes. Yeah, all of these activities are part of a roadmap for events, marketing, and the technical roadmaps. We have different software releases. They are named according to rivers. So Tagus, Loire. Loire is the actual release. The next one will be Danube. And you see here the different labels. We have the conformity or the label level 1 released before Christmas of last year, and the label level 2 and 3 will be released in October of this year. A bit on the role of the hubs, similar as in FiveAir. So it's really similar model. They are there to connect, to build local ecosystems, to bring stakeholders together, to consolidate different initiatives which are going to align them, but also to spread the word about what has been created in the whole ecosystem and transfer this information to the local ecosystem, to streamline all the activities and to coordinate the activities. And so far we have 21 hubs up and running. You see them here in Europe, but also first international hubs. And we are actually working very, very close together with Japan, because looking at our value system, how to handle data, how to manage data, Japan is very, very close to us. And there are several working groups working on this data-driven interoperability between the different regions. And there are some in progress. Denmark, for example, the Danish government now approved 4.8 million to set up a Gaia X hub in Denmark in this year. There is one established talking about the Nordics in Finland already. Yeah, we are here in Norway on the way to establish a hub, and we are also talking to Sweden, but this is still a bit fuzzy, to be honest and open. That's part of our ecosystem, the hubs. Second are so-called endorsed projects. In Europe, we have actually roughly 180 different projects creating data spaces. 17 out of them are endorsed lighthouse projects. And these projects are in different domains. It is in manufacturing. It is in energy, for example. It is in finance. It is in the healthcare, very interesting one in the healthcare domain, in mobility, in education. Also this Team X is a German-funded project where the Charité, one of the most prominent hospitals in Germany, in Berlin, is part of. So these are development projects, not yet up and running. And we have so far just 2 Lighthouse data spaces. So these are Lighthouse projects, and these are Lighthouse data spaces. Act Data Hub is funded in France for the agriculture industry, connecting farmers with their suppliers and their customers. And Catena X is in the automotive industry, focusing on the supply chain activities, on quality management along the supply chain. And Catena X is such a data space which requires global availability. Gernot.
What about EONA X? Because it was intended to be for the Olympics. It's pretty soon, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty soon. It is up and running, but it has not yet been endorsed. Yeah, so we have an endorsement program behind it. They have to apply for it, but at the moment they are focusing on some other technical things to have it. Yeah, so EONA X, you mentioned it. Where is it? This one, that is a data space designed for the Olympic Games to increase the experience of the visitors of the Olympic Games, providing them with digital information. So that is one funded by the French government. That was the second part. So we had hubs, we have projects, and the third one are the digital ecosystems. We call them ecosystems. Others would call it domains or industries or verticals. We call it ecosystems. You see here in total 16 of them: aerospace, agriculture, media, tourism. So for example, EONA X belongs to, it's a mix of tourism and mobility, what EONA X is addressing. So also here we have teams who are working together. They are electing a head of this team. For example, for where's smart cities? Here, smart cities. In my former role, I used to be the head of the smart city domain when I was still with 5Air. And there are, I'd say, in smart cities, roughly 100 people from at least 15 different countries together in this team, and working on the adoption of data space technologies in the domain of smart cities. And Gernot, you mentioned before this open call, which is now open since this week. And Vera, thank you for the information. You can apply for this open call until end of August. So August 31st is the deadline for this call. And again, there are 15 million euro in total available. For each project will get around 1.5 million, roughly this size. So that was a bit about Gaia X. And now positioning Gaia X in the ecosystem of different partners, because it became clear quite soon after the creation of Gaia X that Gaia X will not be able to manage all what needs to be done alone. And therefore, a bit more than 2 years ago, we created the Data Spaces Business Alliance. Big Data Value Forum, mainly using data, bringing AI into the world. 5Air, Gaia X, and an association which was created already 8 years ago, which has the name Data Spaces, or which has data spaces in its name, the International Data Spaces Association. And this is here a picture from a meeting of the presidents and CEOs from before Christmas, end of last year, where we reconfirmed the reason why we are working together, to come up with one joint architecture for interoperable data spaces based on a federated cloud infrastructure, to be able to talk with one voice to the market. We are combining, because all 4 organizations have a hub network, we are combining more than 100 hubs in Europe and around the world. And all 4 are member-driven organizations, and we are combining more than 1,000 members in the 4 organizations. This is Dario Avallone, was at that time the chairman of the board of directors of Fiverr. His role is now taken over by Yasunori Mochizuki from NEC in Japan. So Fiverr is really becoming global. And that's Catherine Justin, the chairwoman of the board of Gaia-X. She is chief digital officer and CIO of Airbus. And Airbus is heavily betting on Gaia-X and the creation of data spaces to improve their data-driven business models. And we positioned this in this landscape, starting with the European Union, with the legislations we have, the Data Governance Act, the Data Act, and so on. And there's one project, a funded project called the Data Spaces Support Center, which has the authority from the European Commission to define this overall architecture and the building blocks, how to create interoperable data spaces. And the EDIB, the European Data Innovation Board, which has the authority to define standards to do so. But besides the economic region of Europe, we have also other economical regions which are doing data-driven business models: China, US, Japan, and so on. Based on this, we have the green layer, which is doing the technical specifications. And here the partners of the Data Spaces Business Alliance are the driving force to do so. But we also have others in other regions of the world. For example, the Data Society Alliance in Japan, or an initiative called SOLID, which was started by Sir Tim Berners-Lee, the guy who invented the World Wide Web. And this is mainly on managing personal data in all of these activities. Then we have the layer of technical implementation. So green is specification, yellow is implementation. As Gaia-X, we joined the Eclipse Foundation as a strategic member to use their capabilities. Fiverr has its own open source developers community. Then there's a project called Simple, a procurement project of the European Commission to develop software components and so on. So the roles, to make it very short here: Gaia-X providing the trust framework, distributed digital ecosystems, IDSA, the data space components and protocols, Fiverr, open source platform, components for data spaces, materializations, especially APIs, data models, and so on, and BDVA working on the value creation out of data. And we came up with, as I mentioned before, one common architecture, a set of building blocks, business and organizational building blocks, as well as technical building blocks. Here we have business, governance, and legal building blocks in the green layer, and the blue layer has building blocks for data interoperability. Here again, Fiverr is very strong, data models, data exchange. Sovereignty and trust framework is from Gaia-X. And what's very important, how to get the value out of data. Yeah, for the data value creation, the monetization of data. And here, for example, BDVA is very active. So we have joined forces, we are working together. I will skip this one due to the time. And we had a symposium, a first symposium together back in March. It was the largest data space event so far with 866 registrations. And this is my second last slide, as you are standing already there. Maybe you want to push me from stage. We started to put together which countries and organizations are supporting the creation of interoperable data spaces. Yeah, you see Germany is putting a lot of money, so far 435 million euro to the creation of data spaces. Spain, France, Luxembourg, different programs from the European Union. Yeah, you mentioned Horizon Europe, which is an element. We have the Digital Europe program, and here is also the Data Spaces Support Center project, the only funded project where GaiaX is participating in. All other activities are financed by membership fees. And as data don't flow on rainbows or does not flow on rainbows, we need the underlying IT infrastructure. And there's a big program which started 2 months ago called an Important Project of Common European Interest for Cloud Infrastructure Services. 1.2 billion euro, which will be put in that as funding, added by another 1.4 billion euro from the private side, from the company's side. And if you are interested to learn more about GaiaX, I would like to invite you to join the GaiaX Academy. It's based on a massive open online course platform, so a MOOC platform. We have at the moment 10 different seminars available here. And you might also visit us in November in Helsinki, because we will have our next GaiaX Global Summit in Helsinki on November 14th and 15th, so not too far for you. That's it. Thank you very much.